Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and today another detailed forecast update coming your way. Today we're going to be talking about some strong cold fronts expected to impact Western Australia and also parts of the southern states as well. We're also expecting some very strong high pressure system activity over the east, which is bringing some intense cold to Victoria, New South Wales and Tasmania. And we'll dive up over to Queensland as well to talk about some rainfall that's expected to spread itself across parts of the state, and all of that plus more coming up in today's weather update. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing and also leave a like on the video while you're at it. Your support is greatly appreciated. So just taking a look at the satellite picture right now, you can see a couple of clouds around, especially over the west, which is where we're going to start our video off with some cold front activity that has blown through last night and more that is now on the way. We're expecting pretty much a week of cold fronts and consistent wet weather activity, and we're going to start things off by taking a look at the rainfall forecast. Last night was nothing interesting. A couple of locations did pick up a few healthy drops. In fact, my weather station at home picked up 10 millimeters, but again, it's just more rainfall to be adding to the July total. And what's going to be adding more to the July rainfall total is the few showers that are going to be streaming through the Perth metro area today. It will get progressively wetter for the southern suburbs throughout the day. I'm expecting rainfall totals to probably max out at around 15 millimeters, areas around Dwelling up in Jarradale, that sort of area. Also some good accumulations expected on the southwest capes. We're just going to be seeing these northwesterly winds bringing in some showers. It's light to moderate shower activity. You know the sort. It's the stuff that we've been seeing for the last week when it hasn't been pouring down with rainfall over the southwest of Western Australia. These showers will continue throughout tonight and into early tomorrow morning, when they will turn into thunder showers here and there along the southwest capes, and you'll be able to tell from the winds and the increased heat by tomorrow morning and early tomorrow afternoon, especially around the Perth metro area and as far north as Jurien Bay and Geraldton, that a big time cold front is expected to be coming through. We're going to be seeing this big cold front slowly start to cross the southwest capes at around 9 or 10 a.m. That's when the rainfall is expected to really pick up there. There is a chance of showers all day tomorrow around the Perth metro area, but those showers will start to continue or increase in chances from about 1 p.m. for the southern suburbs into about 2 or 3 p.m. for the northern suburbs, and those showers could be at times pretty wet, pretty windy, and there is also the chance of some thunderstorms as far inland as the Wheatbelt and even northern parts of the Wheatbelt as well, out towards Dalwallinu and Killarney, expecting a few spots of thunderstorms as well. And you can see here there's actually some pretty decent thunderstorm spreads across the Wheatbelt. Now what this means is that ahead of this front there's going to be a very unstable air mass, and that means that there is the chance of potentially severe thunderstorm development where there is enough fuel for it. And where there is always enough fuel for severe thunderstorm development this time of the year is on the Lewin Current, and that's something that we've got to be talking about, is the chance of severe thunderstorms developing ahead of this cold front between locations such as Amandro right up towards Geraldton, and that does include the Perth coastal region. Now, a severe thunderstorm certainly does set off a lot of alarm bells for some people, but it is very typical for cold fronts to do this. We've had it about 5 times this year already, and I expect we'll have it another 5 times this winter season as well, just with the way things are going. Severe thunderstorms do mean the threat of damaging winds. I do also expect an isolated spots of locally very heavy rainfall like we did see, I believe it was Sunday night. That certainly was what I would class as severe thunderstorm activity. Some damaging winds as well, very much expected, and the odd chance of a waterspout, especially for locations between sort of Two Rocks up towards Geraldton. Again, they're going to be really few and far between if they do fire up, and they also are very rare in themselves, but there is still the odd chance for waterspout, so I would not be surprised if we were reporting waterspouts tomorrow on Thursday morning. Now this cold front, the main feature of this weather system, the big rain band which carries the majority of the rainfall, will be crossing the Perth coastline at around 7 or 8 p.m, probably just a little bit later than that. It does look a little bit hard to predict this cold front here, but yeah, any time between 7 and 10 p.m looks like the bulk of the rainfall is going to be moving through the Perth metro area. Southern suburbs looks like it might come through about half an hour earlier, and then for the southwest as well around Walpole, probably expecting it at around 5 p.m. The worst of the rainfall will stop at around Jurien Bay, still though some heavy showers and storms expected as far north as Jurien Bay, which will probably cross the coast sometime at around 9 or 10 p.m. up there. The rainfall continues into very early Thursday morning. Showers and storms still expected along the southwest coast through early Thursday morning. They will continue to ease off throughout the day, and the showers definitely start to ease off out of Perth and the northern suburbs by around lunchtime, and then for the southern suburbs slowly easing out of them and being contracted to the coastline at around 4 or 5 p.m. So that means Thursday night will be slightly more pleasant in terms of weather, but it will likely be very cold in the wake of this weather system. You can see a high pressure system already developing over on the left hand side of your screen. We will talk on that in just a second. This cold front then sweeps through the south interior, the Goldfields, that sort of area, bringing a few showers and some rain as far north as Wiluna and Lanista in the southern parts of the Gascoyne. Also some rainfall expected as far out as Eucla in the south interior of Western Australia, and even into South Australia, which we will touch on in a few minutes later on this video. The showers continuing through Thursday as far out as Esperance. That will certainly amount to some rainfall there along the southwest coast. But in terms of total precipitation Wednesday night, if there's places that don't pick up 75 millimetres, I will be shocked, especially south of Perth around Dwellingup and Jarradale, that sort of area, always picking up some pretty heavy accumulations there. But I do expect those areas to definitely pick up some very good rainfall from this weather system. Peak accumulations on the southwest coast as well will be at least 50 millimetres, dare I say, probably a little bit more. And from the initial front itself, I do expect a huge swathe of areas between sort of Bunbury up towards Jurien Bay and inland for about 100 kilometres to receive at least sort of 30 millimetres or so. There will be places that pick up less than that, and there'll be places that pick up far more than that, but I do expect the majority of the Perth metro area to get between 20 and 30 millimetres from just the initial cold front itself Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and I do feel like there's going to be a lot of rainfall in those gauges for 9 a.m. Thursday. There is a little bit of a break in terms of rainfall coming through this weekend. There will still be the odd shower here and there for the south coast, but the rainfall staying out of the Perth area at least right through Monday and Tuesday for the first couple of days of August, and then it looks like another cold front sweeps up on Wednesday and Thursday, and you can see this one here is going to be driving a bit more rainfall ashore as well. The forecast for this one relatively uncertain, but just looking at it here in the back end of it, considering how far north the low pressure area is and how strong it is, I would not be surprised if this brings temperatures cold enough for maybe late next week the odd chance of some snowfall on the Stirling Ranges. We actually haven't seen any snowfall down on the Stirling Ranges, and definitely not in the Paronga Ups this winter season so far, and there's only been about 1 or 2 days where the chances for it have been sort of above zero, so I reckon later next week there is going to be that slim chances of snowfall. Again, it's completely off the forecast now, but I would just like to bring it up at this time. In the wake of this weather system as well, it's going to be bitterly cold. We're expecting overnight minima to be close to zero at least this weekend for a lot of the southwest, and daytime temperatures as well not really rising above sort of those early teen figures around 12 or 13. So those ground temperatures are going to stay very cold indeed, which could cause some pretty big problems in terms of frost for the farmers. But it looks like those temperatures are going to be just high enough, sort of around that 4 to 5 degrees Celsius mark. It's not too cold, especially for this time of the year when you're seeing temperatures like that. To kind of avoid the frosts, which is some good news indeed. However, I do feel like farmers in the eastern parts of the wheat belt, which have struggled with rainfall this year, are also going to be struggling with frost maybe this weekend and into early next week. Again, we will keep a very close eye on this forecast, and if you've got any questions or comments about it, please do let me know in the comment section down below. Now, rainfall accumulation is certainly something that you're all waiting to see. I did change the colour back to white. I really didn't like the colour scheme that I did pick. However, taking a look at the rainfall accumulations, this is over the next 24 hours. I did say dwelling up in that sort of area, expecting another 15 millimetres today, and bang on what the forecast is saying. A couple more good drops of rainfall possible today, but it's going to be the rainfall coming through Wednesday and Thursday that's really got my attention here. Now, rainfall accumulations are a little bit on the low side here. I would have expected the eastern blue to call for a little bit more rainfall. The Axis G3 as well, not calling for too much rainfall, but I do expect that this is maybe on the lower side here. I was actually expecting to see some big swathes of rainfall, but still, we're looking at widespread totals above 50 millimetres along the entire coast up towards Jurien Bay. Jurien Bay itself expecting around sort of that 30 millimetre mark. The Perth metro area itself expecting around that 30 millimetre mark as well, but the southern suburbs between 30 and 50 millimetres, and I do feel like the southern suburbs once again are going to pick up the majority of this rainfall here. Also into the hills expecting some good rainfall too. Around sort of that Harvey dwelling up sort of area expecting around that 50 millimetres too. Bunbury itself expecting around 80 millimetres. Again, very plausible numbers once you get down into the southwest here. Some very good rainfall is possible, and some very good rainfall is expected from these cold fronts. Unfortunately, this rainfall refuses to penetrate far into the wheat belt. You can see accumulations do get up towards that 20 to 25 millimetre mark out towards sort of Southwestern Highway and Albany Highway, but they really aren't that great, and in fact they're very hit and miss. Northern expecting about 10 millimetres. The only areas expecting some decent rainfall in the wheat belt itself are sort of around that Wandering, sort of Boddington sort of area. Some good rainfall is expected here and there, but you can also see that there's a lot of places that really do miss out on it, and that tells me that the rainfall deep into the wheat belt and out towards the start of the goldfields and the Murchison region is going to be very hit and miss, and that is not good news for farmers, because this is a sort of rainfall that they are holding out to see, and this is great rainfall that is on the forecast, and unfortunately it looks like a few people are going to miss out on it, which is not a good thing at all. In terms of 10-day rainfall accumulations, you can see that cold front that comes through later next week and at the end of the first week of August also brings some good rainfall through, another sort of 30 to 50 millimetres for some locations. In fact, along the south coast, that front itself could bring up at least 50 millimetres, maybe up towards 60 or 70. And then, Bunbury turns out to be pretty much the wettest place in the state over the next 10 days by the looks of these accumulations. Again, that cold front is a very long way out in the forecast, and we're going to have to wait a couple more days rather, maybe about a week till we know exactly what is going to be happening with it, but we will keep a very close eye on things there. Now, that basically does it for the West Australian weather forecast. If I've left anything unanswered or if you've got any questions or comments, please do let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to as many of you as I can today. We're going to switch focus now and head over east before we head up north to Queensland and far north Queensland, where we do have a little bit to talk about. You can see rainfall accumulations across South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales and Tasmania look absolutely miserable over the next 10 days. So why am I talking about winter weather? Well, it's not so much the rainfall, it's the cold air. In fact, last night, very cold indeed across parts of New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania. Thredbo down to -9, in Cooma just outside of Thredbo down to -8 in New South Wales, and Leewonwy in Tasmania are much more milder but still very cold, -5. So we've got a couple of cold nights on the way and a couple of cold nights that have already happened, and this is certainly something that I want to be talking about in great detail because we do have frost, and that expected for agricultural communities through New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmania. So farmers, you have experienced 2 frost days so far, Monday and Tuesday. Today, I would say, was the worst chance of frost being a big problem. However, still tomorrow morning going to be very cold across big parts of New South Wales and Victoria. You can see temperatures below 0 as far out as Griffith and Young. Also some cold temperatures expected out towards Cobar, down to -1 out there. Orange expecting a freezing morning, and locations around it also expecting a freezing morning. And then farming communities out around Wagga Wagga and north of Albury expected to be very cold as well. These are in the foothills of the Great Dividing Range, but still some of these fields here could be down towards -4, -5 even for some locations. Thredbo, of course, is going to be the runaway coldest place, down to -8 by this forecast, and I reckon they will get a little bit colder. A big swathe of below 0 or just at 0 degree temperatures around Bendigo and Ballarat for Victoria. Some cold air as well over Tasmania where the high pressure system is situated, but again, a lot milder there, which I bet they are happy to see. They've had a very cold July already, and the colder air certainly wouldn't be welcome for much longer over in Tasmania. Now, it will be slightly warmer again at Thursday morning to start off August. Still going to be really cold across a big swathe of New South Wales, but temperatures are only going down to 0 degrees as opposed to -2 or -3 for some of these locations here, and the real cold air is going to be kept for the mountainous areas. Still, though, there is a chance of some frosts and potentially severe frosts on both Wednesday and Thursday, but the chance is diminishing by Friday. To start off the weekend, it looks like temperatures are going to be at that sort of 0 to above 0 for a big swathe of New South Wales over the morning hours, and the icy cold temperatures are reserved for only the mountainous regions. And then Saturday, with the passage of a weak cold front, the temperatures are a lot more milder across Victoria and parts of New South Wales and even into Tasmania as well, so that is good to see. And then by this weekend, you're really not expecting frost and cold air to be a concern unless you do live in the mountainous areas. Of course, the average minimum temperature for this part of New South Wales and Victoria is only 3 or 4 degrees overnight, and we're seeing temperatures down towards -1 or -2 here, so it's not exactly a big drop in terms of an anomaly in terms of this cold air, and it certainly isn't record-breaking cold, and it's not even once in a year sort of cold. This sort of stuff happens 3 or 4 times a year. It's just the fact that we're getting near to the end of harvest season, or it's getting close to harvest season for New South Wales and Victoria, and that means that some of the cropping areas out in this part of the country are getting towards their mature states, and frost is a very big concern for crops, and I'm giving these farmers a heads up that there is the concern of some severe frosts, especially in the foothills and the more mountainous fields across New South Wales and Victoria. Of course, not too much of a concern in terms of other areas. The temperatures will be a lot closer towards average, but around the foothills and in the hills, it looks like the frost is going to be potentially severe in 1 or 2 locations. And that basically does it for the cold air. In terms of rainfall, there is a bit of rainfall that's going to be streaming in along the New South Wales shorelines throughout the course of today, but again, nothing really to be writing home about. By the start of next week, or more end of this week, around Sunday and the start of next week on Monday, we're expecting a few showers and maybe be some snowfall accumulations across the highlands of Tasmania. There are a couple of drops of snow as well across Victoria and New South Wales to start off the working week, and rain continuing throughout next week, which will keep temperatures a little bit more mild on Tuesday and Wednesday sometime next week for parts of Tasmania and Victoria, but it actually looks like they're going to be even colder next week for parts of New South Wales, so we will keep a very close eye on things here with the weather forecast for New South Wales. Again, this is something to be talking about next week. Now, we're going to flick things over to rainfall accumulation and head up into Queensland. There is, again, a little bit to be talking about across far North Queensland. The rainfall is back on the forecast. Again, it isn't anything to be concerned about, but I'm going to give the far North Queenslanders a bit of a forecast here. There is some rainfall and showers that are going to be coming through later on this week. We're expecting rain to develop on Wednesday night into Thursday for areas around the Cassowary Coast and up into the Daintree, and this rainfall could at times be heavy. I'm expecting 20 millimetres on Wednesday and about 30 to 40 millimetres as peak accumulations across Thursday to start off August, and then Friday the rainfall continuing once again, and this rainfall will add up. We could be seeing up towards 100 millimetres over 5 days here up towards Friday or Saturday. The rainfall does ease off temporarily for a little bit before it continues again through the early parts of next week before once again easing off. And as you can see on the rainfall accumulation map here, over the next 3 days, which includes Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, over the 5-day accumulations, peak falls are expected to be around 50 to 60 millimetres. Now, I've always been saying that the rainfall here can blow out, so I generally double or triple this number for the wettest of locations in some of those very crammed up river valleys in the mountains, so that does extrapolate to about 150 millimetres of rainfall. In far North Queensland, 150 millimetres generally isn't a concern. However, with soil moisture values still approaching 100% for some of these areas, a lot of this rainfall will just become runoff, and although rivers aren't expected to flood, I'm still expecting rivers to flow from this weather event, or at least increase in flow. And if we do get daily or overnight accumulations of 50 or 60 millimetres, which in far North Queensland can happen with some of these runaway showers, certainly the concern of some flash flooding is possible. So just a heads up, it looks like towards the end of this week there is the chance on Thursday morning or Friday morning of a little bit of an increase in river flow, so stay safe again if you do live near or around a river. Over 10 days as well, we're expecting a few showers to develop in the southeastern corner of Queensland. It's been ages since we gave southeast Queensland a proper forecast, but there really hasn't been anything developing here. A trough line will extend across the Queensland coastline. It looks like to the early parts of next week on Monday and Tuesday, the 5th and the 6th of August respectively. A few showers do develop in the southeastern parts of New South Wales, the southeastern parts of Queensland, the northeastern parts of New South Wales, and it could be providing a bit of rainfall here and there to parts of southeastern Queensland, inland around Emerald or Roma, and then along the Sunshine and the Gold Coast as well. A few light showers are possible there, and there is the chance, especially this time of the year, of a few of these showers going towards thunderstorms. We're getting into the later parts of winter, and this part of Queensland typically does start to see their first thunderstorms in the early parts of spring, so we will have to keep a very close eye on the forecast. And in fact, for the tropics as a whole, it is now nearly August, and August is only a couple of months away, in fact 1 or 2 months away from starting to receive some proper tropical rainfalls, especially across Queensland, Northern Territory and Western Australia. You typically have to wait a few more months, but still, we're getting very close to turning these videos back in towards tropical updates, so I'm very, very excited for that. And if you are too, then please consider subscribing. And on that note, I'm going to end off this video. Thank you so much for watching the video to this point. Your support has been greatly appreciated on the channel yesterday, and I do apologise for lack of an upload yesterday. I was out all morning and just could not get around to making a video update. Unfortunately, I was going to record in my car, but I just could not get around to it at all, so I do apologise for that, and I do pledge that at least for the rest of this week, for the foreseeable future, the uploads will continue daily as usual. But that is all from me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now, and I could not run the show without them. That is all from me. I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.